Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Would you like even more content? Here's my Patreon. Now onto the stories. Case file number 1322, written by Resident Blueberry 1, The Gremlin Storm. About 27 years ago, I looked out my bathroom window while using it around 2 or 3 a.m. There was a lightning storm. And while looking outside during a particularly bright, lengthy episode of lightning, bluish green yellow color, I crap you not, I saw something run extremely fast along the side of the road that went past my house. This thing ran razor straight along the white line on the shoulder. It looked like a smallish, hooded creature wearing a cloak. I'm an objective, pragmatic human being, and I've tried to be rational, reasoning with myself that it was a black, plastic trash bag blowing in the wind. But if so, shouldn't it have been moving a bit more slowly and billowy, blowing around in the air and in no particular pattern? I tried to consider what I saw was a tire rolling down the road, being forced along by the wind. But wouldn't it have been a bit wonkier, maybe a little wobbly? And would it roll at such super speed? This thing that I saw, it was close to the ground, appeared to be running in a straight line, which I could clearly see because of the white shoulder line. It seemed adjacent. I wasn't particularly tired and hadn't fallen asleep yet, so I wasn't groggy. I was completely lucid and did no drugs. I freaking know what I saw and still try to rationalize it away, but I can't. I refer to it as a gremlin, because sure, why not? A small, cloaked, hooded creature running quickly along the road during a pretty big storm? Seems fair enough. Even if I have trouble believing it despite knowing what I saw, I will never tell the story anymore. My husband affectionately laughs at me, but I wanted this one record available. Hello, Gremlin. Case notes file 1322, The Gremlin Storm. I'm just picturing a little gremlin running around super fast at supersonic speed across a road at night in a storm. It's a funny scene. I don't think these gremlins are gnomes. Few sightings of these across the years that I've been reading. I don't think they're malicious. I think they're just probably beings from a different universe that just phase over temporarily, because most creatures that exist have to have a sufficient population to keep propagating themselves. So if they were native to this universe, we'd see them more often. That's my guess. So if they're from neighboring universes or even distant universes, just catching a space-time portal over temporarily, again in a storm, which is interesting. Maybe a portal doesn't have to be within a storm, but a storm might be what creates them. That would make the most sense I can think of, because you would need a ton of energy to penetrate between the multiverse, right? And the storm, that's exactly what it is. It's pure freaking gigantic energy. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. These are little gremlin creatures from a different universe. And I mean, think about it. In the past, how many wild creatures there were. The universe, even through just normal physics, can create some really strange beings. But that doesn't mean that just because they're strange that they're evil or malicious or anything. Maybe they are, but it doesn't have to be. Case file number 1323, written by accio-snitch. Caleb and Steph's baffling backpack switch. So, quick background. I'm female, a preschool teacher, and I have 2 co-teachers with me in the same room. Each of our kids has their own hook to hang their backpacks on, labeled with their name. One day, I was taking pictures of each kid doing a specific task, which happened to be next to the backpack hooks. We have to be careful not to have any identifying things in the background, other children's faces, certain names, that kind of thing, because we send pictures to their families. I took a picture of a student, let's call him Caleb. I was looking in the background and noticed that his name and hook was in the picture, which I thought was a pretty cute coincidence. Now, Caleb's hook is next to another student's, let's call her Steph. The next week, I'm looking at the hooks, and I say to my co-teacher, "Hey, did you switch Caleb and Steph's names on the wall?" She said no, then looked. Their names switched places because we know for a fact that Caleb's hook was on the end, and it now isn't. So we thought, it was probably another teacher or something? We asked another teacher. Nope. Then I remembered, hey, I took those pictures next to the hooks. I'll easily look at them to see their order. However, I looked on our iPad's picture album and they weren't there. None of the photos I took of anyone were there. The ones before and after were still on the iPad, but not my specific ones. I checked the recently deleted, and nope. So I went to Caleb's profile online where we send in the photos. His picture was there with the background cropped, but it wasn't the picture I took of him. He had a different hairstyle and clothes that he's never worn before. The picture looked like a mix between outdated and futuristic. I showed it to my co-teachers and they were just as confused and weirded out as I was. We still have no idea what happened. Case notes for file 1323. Caleb and Steph's baffling backpack switch. This one is very confusing because to me, there's a lot of oddities that can happen between universes, but if you have your co-teachers, other people with you, that are also experiencing the same thing where, the name tags are not supposed to be there. They're supposed to be in a different place. The names switched themselves. They're not in the correct place. And then the photos deleted themselves. The one online is not the same one. He's wearing a different uniform. So the picture online, maybe that is data from a different universe ported over. But why are the original pictures that you had on the iPhone deleted? So someone deleted them, then there's this odd glitch in the universe online as well. To me, that doesn't add up at all. So I'm kinda stumped on this one. It could be a whole confluence of different glitches coming together at the same time. I suppose that can happen. It's like when you get sick, doctors are trained to think of just one cause, one disease. But that doesn't mean that technically, even though they're not really supposed to look for multiple diseases, that it couldn't happen. You could have multiple things happen to you, and if you think of the local universe that you're in as a host body, maybe you could have multiple diseases at the same time. You had a universal switcheroo, data loss as well, and all happening within a small amount of time. That would be trippy, but at least you did have other people to corroborate this story with you. It's always better with other witnesses, because then you feel, I'm not totally crazy. Woohoo! It's a good thing. Case file number 1324, written by Mashed Potatoes. The Night the Skies Danced. I used to deliver newspapers during the night, so I was accustomed to seeing plenty of planes and helicopters. I'm also a bit of a stargazer, so I like to look up at the sky while I brought papers to people's doors. I noticed these 3 lights in the sky one night. Red. There was nothing particularly interesting about them other than how it looked as though they were completely still. I didn't think anything of it at first, but kept my eyes on it purely because I thought it was fascinating. Then it started to move forward ever so slightly, then move back a little, then darted into the distance in a split second. I honestly have no words for how to properly explain what I saw. It looked as though it went through a portal. Almost like in the movies where a ship warps into hyperspeed and it leaves a little white trail behind it. That's what it looked like. There wasn't a cloud in the sky and it just completely disappeared in an instant. I honestly don't bring this up ever because I feel like no one will ever believe me. It's just crazy. Now here's the really truly crazy bit. A few months ago, about 3 months after I quit my job working as a newspaper courier, I was chilling and watching TV with my mom. There's a big window behind the couch where I'm sitting, and my mom is looking out at it like she's seeing Danny DeVito frick a unicorn out in the yard. I turned around and saw these same things. These same freaking lights in the sky again. It didn't really appear like it was moving, and I looked over to my mom and I was like, "What is it?" And she tells me that the red lights were previously white, and that it had turned around instantly and turned into 3 red lights. I was sitting completely still, and out of nowhere, it just did this really random zigzag in the sky at speeds I've never seen before. It was like it zipped around and made some kind of U-turn, but it was so much faster than any plane or helicopter I've ever seen. I honestly can't put it into words. I actually saw it move this time. It looked like something straight from a cartoon. This one also completely disappeared. We both ran outside to look for it, but it was nowhere to be seen. It was also a clear night. This time I knew I wasn't crazy because my mom and I both saw it. I only wish I had gotten it on video. But anyway, this is certainly something strange, and I don't have an explanation for what I saw those nights. Case on to file 1324, The Nights the Skies Danced. Okay, so my gut now, even though I think aliens are real, and I obviously really want them to be here, maybe it's all just government experimentation. If you think about how advanced their technology is, that they don't reveal to the public. And maybe it is even reverse engineered from crashed alien spacecraft, from, maybe Roswell, New Mexico, or a different place. It's probably not Roswell, New Mexico. If alien craft really did crash, that would be the cover story to make fun of people who even consider it as a possibility. Same thing with Area 51, probably nothing important goes on there. Just, standard military stuff. Maybe some general experimental aircraft and stuff, but nothing alien tech. And certainly, they wouldn't tell us if that was the case. There's also a strange conspiracy about Project Bluebeam, where the basic idea is that it's kind of a false flag or a distraction of the public, where the government would try to falsify an alien invasion. And if you wanted to do that, what would you do first? Well, you would add little signs in the sky. You would try to make it seem to have enough accounts of, alien reports that, maybe this is plausible. Because I'm reasonably pragmatic. I have an open mind, but I don't just accept things on pure blind faith. So you have to have some data points over time. And I think there's enough events where a reasonable person can look at them and think, okay, maybe aliens are here. It's hard not to be fooled, right? You have to consider the possibility that maybe someone wants you to think that there are aliens here when there aren't. So that's another angle. And these lights in the sky, could a military create that? Maybe with holograms or drones in the sky? I think so. And drones aren't some new technology. They've had them for a long time now. You look at what they're doing in China with drones. I think here too. You can have entire, almost realistic looking images in the sky, 3D holographic, just from drones flying in unison, programmed together. It's really incredible. But obviously can be used to fool people. So keep an open mind. Maybe it's an alien event. But maybe it's just meant to look like one. And now time for the quote of the day. Comedy is simply a funny way of being serious. Peter Ustinov. Comedy is a way, or sometimes can be a way, to tell the truth without having daggers thrown at you, and instead having laughter tossed at you. Much preferable, I would say. And the first stand-up comic I ever listened to, back when I was a teenager, like 16 or something, was George Carlin. Damn, he's good. The memory on that guy was incredible. He could recite so many lines, like I have trouble remembering one line if I'm not looking at something directly. But he could recite like a damn book and, say it in such a funny way. Everything he was saying was mostly just saying truthful things, like maybe with some exaggeration sometimes, but generally, George Carlin was just a truth teller, not just a comedian, or maybe a truth teller first and then a comedian. But if you say it in a correct way, with a few exaggerations here and there, you can get people to accept it, or at least listen to the truth, in a funny way, and have laughter with it. It's like taking medicine with sugar. It's a way to help it go down a bit more palatably, if done well, of course. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. Kinetic Symphony signing off.